You feel different because you are. There's this moment. You're sitting somewhere, maybe alone, maybe in a room full of people, and something just doesn't add up. Everyone around you is moving a certain way, talking a certain way, wanting certain things. And you're sitting there thinking, why don't I feel that? Why does everything they seem satisfied with feel like it's not enough for me? I've had that feeling more times than I can count. And for a long time, honestly, I thought something was wrong with me. Like maybe I was being arrogant, maybe I was delusional, maybe I just hadn't been humbled enough yet to accept the ordinary and call it good, so I tried. I genuinely tried to just fit. I tried to want what everyone around me wanted, tried to be okay with the pace, tried to stop questioning everything and just go along with it, and it never worked. Not because I was better than anyone, not because I had some God-given gift that separated me from the rest, but because I was different, genuinely, fundamentally different. And the moment I stopped treating that like a problem to fix, everything changed. I remember being 18, 19 years old. I had this group of people I used to spend most of my time with. Good people, honestly, decent people. We'd hang out almost every day. And at some point I started noticing this gap between us. Not in a mean way, not in an I'm better than you way, just I'd be sitting there at the end of a long night and they'd all seem satisfied, like the day was complete, like that was enough. And I'd be staring at the ceiling of whoever's place we were at, running through ideas in my head, thinking about things I wanted to build, things I wanted to understand, questions I couldn't turn off. They weren't doing anything wrong. I wasn't doing anything right. We were just different frequencies. And I remember one of them actually saying to me, half joking, half not, "Why do you always have to make things complicated?" And I laughed. But inside, I felt something. Not offense, not anger. Just this quiet, clear recognition. I wasn't making things complicated, I just couldn't make them simple in the way they needed me to. And that's when I started to understand something about myself. Here's what I think now, looking back. Every single part of you, the way your brain won't shut off at night, the way you feel out of place in rooms that everyone else seems comfortable in, the way you care too much about the things most people stopped caring about years ago, all of that is information. It's not a flaw. It's not anxiety. It's not arrogance. It's not you being difficult. It's your architecture, and your architecture is not the same as theirs. We grew up in a strange era. The Gen Z experience is unlike anything that came before it. We were handed smartphones before we understood ourselves. We grew up watching the world's highlight reel while still figuring out who we were. We were told to follow our passion in the same breath as being told the economy was broken. We were more connected and more isolated than any generation in human history, simultaneously. And what that did, whether we realized it or not, is it forced a kind of internal reckoning that older generations just didn't have to go through at the same age. We had to develop a self while everything external was shifting under our feet. That's not nothing. That's actually an enormous thing. Because the people who go through that, the ones who don't break, who don't just numb themselves, who keep asking the questions even when the answers aren't comfortable, they come out of it carrying something. A sharpness, a depth, an ability to read situations and people and patterns that people who had it easier simply don't have. You think you're behind because you've been through more, but you're not behind. You're loaded. I want to talk about something practical for a second because I think it matters here. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make, especially our generation, is treating their difference like a liability in spaces that actually reward it. There's this pull to hide the parts of you that don't fit. In job interviews, in relationships, in rooms where you feel like you're supposed to be someone more palatable, more average, more digestible, and I get it. I've done it. I've shrunk myself to fit through doors that were never built for me. But here's what I've learned. The rooms that require you to shrink, they were never the right rooms. The opportunities that punish you for being different, they were never your opportunities. Your difference isn't something to manage around. It's the thing that, in the right context, in the right hands, yours, becomes the single most valuable thing you bring to anything. The new generation, our generation, is building things the old model doesn't have a template for, and the people leading that, the ones who are actually creating something, are not the people who blended in. They're the people who couldn't. I know what some of you are thinking right now. Okay, but it's easy to say that, easy to romanticize being different when you're on the other side of it, but right now it just feels like loneliness. And I hear that. I really do. Because being different doesn't feel like a superpower when you're in the middle of it. It feels like being the only person in the room who can hear a sound no one else can. And instead of people asking what you're hearing, they just look at you like you're strange. That's real. That's a real kind of loneliness that doesn't get talked about enough. The loneliness of clarity. You can see things other people can't or won't. You feel things at a depth that makes casual conversation feel almost painful sometimes. You care about things that other people abandoned or never bothered to pick up. And you walk around carrying all of that, trying to fit it inside a version of yourself that the world is asking you to be. That's exhausting, and it makes sense that it's exhausting. But I want you to understand something clearly. That weight you're carrying, it's not dead weight. It's not the weight of someone lost. It's the weight of someone becoming. There's this thing I've come to believe, and I think about it a lot. The people who feel most out of place early in life, they tend to be the ones who find their place most powerfully later, because they never stopped looking. The people who fit easily into whatever was handed to them, they stop searching. They find something comfortable and they settle inside it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Genuinely. That's its own kind of peace, but you couldn't do that. And that restlessness, that inability to just accept and move on, it has kept you sharp in ways you won't fully understand until you actually use it for something. The question is never whether your difference is real. It is. The question is what you're going to do with it. I'll tell you what I think the move is. Stop spending energy trying to explain yourself to people who aren't built to understand you. Stop trying to justify why you want more, why you feel more, why you see more. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your architecture. What you do owe yourself is the space to actually use it. Because here's the truth about being the new generation, our generation. We don't have the luxury of the old playbook, the career paths, the financial structures, the social scripts our parents followed. Most of those don't work the same way anymore, which means the people who succeed in the next 20 years aren't going to be the ones who followed instructions the best. They're going to be the ones who were comfortable enough in their own difference to build something that didn't exist yet. That's the advantage. That's the actual competitive edge. Not the degree, not the connections, not the conventional resume. The ability to think differently, to feel differently, to move differently. That's yours. I think about who I was at 18, trying so hard to just be normal. Trying to want less, think less, feel less. And I wish I could go back and tell that version of me, stop. Stop trying to sand down the edges of yourself. Those edges are not the problem. Those edges are the point. Every part of you that makes you feel strange, the intensity, the questions, the feeling that you're supposed to be doing something more, something different, something that you can't even fully articulate yet. That's not delusion, that's direction. You're not a normal person, and you were never supposed to be. The people who change things, who build things, who leave something real behind, they were never normal. They were just willing to stop apologizing for the difference. So if you've been walking around with this quiet sense that you're not like other people, you're right, you're not. And that's not a burden to carry, that's a life to build.